Hello, Security you, and welcome to the finale of Game & Watch The Legend of Zelda. And we are starting off with a bang because this is my absolute favorite game of all time. Link's Awakening is my favorite game ever. I did Let's Play this game a long time ago. It sucked. I'd like to redo it sometime. But as for now, this is what it's just gonna have to do. Without further ado, let's play Link's Awakening. Now, to get things started this time around, there's something pretty interesting about this I'd like to demonstrate real quick. So, first of all, we are going to name ourselves Zelda! And I might be making a joke, but something actually interesting can happen. Isn't that just one of the most fun remixes of this theme song ever? I love this remix. It's just such a fun little Easter egg and things like that. But there's something else that's interesting about this. We want to hold the A button as we get started on this new game. It didn't do the thing. Let's try that again. There we go. I don't know why it didn't work the first time.
What a relief! I thought you were dead! But then I found your body and you were still not- Wait, what? Zelda? No, my name's Marin. You should be careful on the beach because lots of monsters showed up. And it's all your fault! So you should find a stick that you can stab them with.
So let's go over here and talk to Taryn. Well, Zelda, you finally snapped up. What? Taryn? Yeah, that's my name. How'd you know your name? Well, it's the name of this series, and I happen to be a big fan, so here's a shield you can stab things with. Because that's how shields work.
Hey, what are you doing in my chest? Where'd you learn to do such a thing?
I always thought it was Marin who said that, but apparently in the Switch version, Taryn is the one who calls you out on this. I always thought it was Marin, but apparently it's Taryn all along, and everything I know is a lie. But as we go outside, we can see we suddenly have full hearts. That's what that Easter egg at the beginning was for. When you start a new playthrough of this game, if you hold down the A button, you can play through the entire thing with full hearts. But here's the thing. This won't work on a playthrough you're already making progress on. So the playthrough I've been playing on my own time, the one that you saw at the beginning of the video, yeah, that one's not going to work if you try doing the cheat now. And if you die at any point during the game, then it's also going to be a bit of a process because you have to hold on the button again on the game over screen every time you do that. This game isn't that difficult, so it's not like you have to do it super often. It's just a bit more of an inconvenience than anything else. So let's bump these guys out of the way and go collect our sweet, sweet reward. Hoot, I'm an owl. I already made this joke in the first episode, but I'm an owl. Did you know that I'm an owl? Because I am not a cat. I am in fact an owl. The windfish is watching you. He sees you when you're sleeping and knows when you're awake. You found your sword! It must be yours because it has your name engraved on it. And we're starting off with a level 2 sword. This is something that you're only really supposed to be able to get pretty far into the game after you've collected most of the certain collectible. We won't get into too much details with that, but it's a bit of a process to actually get this thing, but with that cheat code, we can do this immediately. And this is only possible on this version of Link's Awakening. It is so cool. The other games also have cheat codes too, which we'll be getting into a little bit later in the episode. Now, we're not going to be playing too far into this game in this episode, but I do want to have an excuse to play through Link's Awakening because, like, after all, we did play through a huge chunk of Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 for this Let's Play, so we might as well play through the greatest game of all time. I say that as if we played through, like, half the other two games, but no, we really only played through the first dungeon, which may I remind you, all that horrible stuff that we suffered through in the previous episode of Zelda 2, yeah, that was only the first dungeon. Have I mentioned it was only the first dungeon? Hoot, this is a forest and there are trees here. This isn't like Animal Crossing where you can shake the trees and get stuff. These trees are stationary sprites. Because I'm an owl. The windfish is sleeping, so you better go through here quietly and not wake him up. Even though that's kind of the ultimate end goal for this adventure. The windfish is very undecisive on his life goals. This song is so catchy. But yeah, this is cool too. We get sword beams. We get sword beams. We can stab things at a distance. Remember, consent before stabbing is always very important. Remember that. I gotta say, like, it's been a couple days since the Let's Play started. I wanted to get the finale out sooner, but I just wasn't really able to find the time to record for this. So, I will say, one thing that I'm very pleasantly surprised on, and I'll get a bit more detail on this later in the video, I am shocked at how well this Let's Play is done. I thought nobody was going to care about this, and this is just going to be like a silly idea that only I find funny. But no, this actually ended up becoming one of the more popular Let's Plays in recent years, and I'm really surprised about that. So I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you all for like supporting the Let's Play and things like that, because I just did not see that coming. I was really surprised about that. So thank you everybody. And we'll be sort of mentioning that again towards the end. We were doing our proper thank yous at the end of the Let's Play. But as for right now, let's continue onwards. We got some bats over there because Link is stronger than Batman. I always wondered about that. Like, who would be stronger in a fight between Link and Batman? Because Link and Batman, they are somewhat comparable in strength because Batman's mastered every form of martial art ever. And he has like a bunch of super awesome gadgets and stuff. Link is also like a puzzle solver. He's able to determine the weakness of anything just by fighting them, even if they only have like one weakness and things like that. So I think he'd be able to determine Batman's weakness pretty easily. But Batman is a master detective and would figure Link out like long before they'd even fight. So I'm really curious about that. Who would win in a fight between Link and Batman? I think Link would have the advantage because like, even if Batman has, like, super armor and things like that, Link does have some magic on his side. And even if Batman would be prepared in a fight against Superman, the difference between that is that Superman, even if he is super powerful, all of his power comes from, like, a reliable source and things like that. Whereas Link is more of, like, a magical being that Batman would have a little bit more of a harder time knowing where his attacks are coming from and things like that. Let's take, for example, Breath of the Wild Link. Let's say that's the one that's going up against Batman. So, yeah, Batman would have things that let him be prepared for things like Robosa's Fury or things like that, but he wouldn't really have a reliable way to counter Link's ancient arrows. So, just things like that make me wonder who would win in a fight between the two. Hey, Mon. You know me, I like the short names the best. This guy in the German version is kind of a pervert. I don't want to go into too many specifics on what exactly he says, but yeah, the German localization was a bit more risky when it comes to the guy's dialogue. It's interesting because they do have other localization versions of this game on the Game & Watch version, but I believe it's only English, French, Japanese, and I think the Dutch version as well. So I was kind of hoping the German version would be in this would be in here too, just so I could showcase that in the video. But that's not the case, and I'm certainly not going to say what that guy says in this video because I try to be a little bit family friendly in these videos, contrary to some of the bad language words I may or may not have said in the previous episode. I'm just going to say that right now. But yeah, Terran turned into a raccoon. That may or may not be a reference to a certain game. Oh, good old Sonic the Hedgehog. Hoot, that is a key. You can finally open up my storage shed. That's where I've been keeping my smokes. Remember the thing I said about being family friendly? Alrighty then. Well, we're to be going into the first dungeon with the super awesome powers of the sword beams. Yay, sword beams! It's just, I'm really excited about this because I've never actually done this before. I knew about the cheat codes, but I never tried it myself on my own time. But man, this is gonna be a pretty awesome. This is gonna be a pretty awesome experience going through this. All right, let's continue. And can I just say, this is probably my favorite overworld theme in any game that I've ever played. Just take a moment to listen to it real quick. got such a great upbeat energy that gets you really pumped up to go on an adventure. And I just get this biggest smile on my face just talking about this game. Like, there's a reason this is my favorite game of all time. Alright, so knocking those guys off the cliff will give us our first key, but how would you know that? Well, if we were to go over here... Oh! It's a compass! Ew! This compass has a new feature. A telling will tell you if a key is hidden in a room when you enter, and no game beyond this point will ever use that feature ever again, because no game will ever be as good as Link's Awakening. So, going into a bit of my history with this game, Link's Awakening, this alongside the original Tomb Raider and Toy Story 2, these were the first 3 games that I ever played when I was a kid. This one being like the absolute very first game that I ever played. So, I have a lot of fond memories of this one. I've 100% this game, I believe, 97 times, I think. I have a list somewhere, but I haven't really looked at it in a while. But I've 100% the game 97 times at least, and I'm very close to my 100th playthrough of this game. I'm hoping to do that pretty soon, so that's gonna be pretty fun. But yeah, I really love this game. Let's get rid of that, go here. But yeah, like a couple other fun facts about this game. This was a game that helped me learn how to read, because like I played this game I believe when I was around the age when I was starting to learn how to read and things like that. So this game was helping me a lot with that. This is the first game that I ever beat on my own, first game I ever 100%ed on my own. And it just all around, I just have a lot of fond memories of this one. Because even if there are games out there like Earthbound or Splatoon 2 that like I might develop more fond memories playing over time, I don't think anything's really going to top my love for Link's Awakening. Now this right here is pretty interesting. Something is inscribed on the stone slab, but you can't read it because a piece is gone. This is different in every other version of the game. In the Switch remake and the Game Boy Color version, that was changed to an owl statue that's missing its beak. But in the original version, which by the way, can we just say, can this song go away? It's a fine song, but it goes on for way too long. It disappears when you take certain damage and things like that. I just want it to go away so we can listen to the dungeon theme again. Go away. Go away. There we go. That's all I want for Christmas. You've got the Rock's Feather. It feels like your body is a lot lighter. Jump button, Zelda game. Oh yeah. But yeah, go back to what I was saying a moment ago. What was I saying a moment ago? I don't remember, so let's move on to another topic. Goombas are in this game. They'll always drop a heart when you jump on them. So, nice little callback to the good old 2D Mario games. Now, you may be wondering, why are there Mario characters in this game? Well, here's a fun thing. There's way more than that. You have SimCity characters, you have some other ones, I can't remember off the top of my head. But, yeah, we have a lot of, like, non-Zelda characters who make a cameo appearance in this game. And the reason for that is because they kind of hid them in this game. Link's Awakening's development was considered kind of like an after-school project for everybody who was working on the project. And so they didn't really get permission from other parts of Nintendo to put the cameos in the game, but they just let them in, have them in there anyway. But the story of the game was going to be very different, because of course it's Miyamoto who wanted it different. Miyamoto basically wanted the game to be not much more different than A Link to the Past on Game Boy in terms of story and things like that, but is it Kensuke Tanabe? I want to say that's who it was. I might be wrong about that. I'll have a caption on screen if I'm wrong about that. But he snuck the story into the game, believing that it would benefit it more to have an original story, so it wasn't just a copy-paste of A Link to the Past. And you found a fragment of the stone slab. Now you can read the message on the wall. Yay! And this is what it says if you're interested. The other one will say something different, but I don't care enough to backtrack for that. But yeah, I was saying a moment ago, Miyamoto wanted to basically be Link to the Past on Game Boy, but Kensuke Tanabe was all like, I don't think so. And he turned it into the game that we all know and love today. And it's funny because, like, Kensuke Tanabe does that a lot, where he'll sneak story behind Miyamoto's back, and Miyamoto always hates it. But it's like, I do get the mindset that you want a simplistic story so that the gameplay comes first. That is a good mindset. But there's nothing wrong with having an enjoyable story in your game. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of the big thing that's making people not like Paper Mario nowadays. But we did it! We defeated you! And we're gonna fall down this cliff because there's something funny that I'd like to demonstrate. Well, it's not really funny, but it's more of an interesting detail. These things are still there in the Switch remake. It's a morbid detail that they kept in the Switch remake, and I'm very happy that they did because I was really nervous that they were going to be censored or something like that. But yeah, the level 2 sword, we can defeat this guy super easily, and it's super awesome. And also, speaking of the Switch remake, this guy looks like a cheeseburger in that version, and I love it so much. You've got the full moon cello. Swamp. A path opens in the blooms. Hoot, you made story progress, and my phone is trying to tell me that the thing is slow. Okay, it didn't interrupt the recording. I was very worried about that. Hoot, I'm an owl. You got one of the MacGuffins that you'll need to wake the windfish. Good for you. Oh boy. Man, Owl, you really need to liven up. Like, you really need to liven up. Like, just, wow. You can show a little bit more enthusiasm in your work.
Hey, buddy, it's serious. Yeah, really serious. Yeah, it is. The moblins came to the village. Yeah, that's right. Oh, gang of moblins. Then it's for real. They all went to the house. Yeah, that house. And then they did something at Bow Wow's house. It was really bad. Same with the moblins. I mean, it might be faster for you to find out for yourself what happened.
Well, we'll figure it out in due time, but not in today's video. So, there's something else I'd like to demonstrate. I'm going to turn up the volume for this because this is my favorite sound effect ever. That's a little too loud. The sound effect of Link screaming when he falls down a cliff, it is my favorite sound ever. It is my favorite sound ever. I love it so much. Alrighty then, so we're going to leave the game idle for a moment and just, in general, just talk about a couple things before we go too much further. Because you may have noticed during the end screens, but there are little things of portraits that'll appear on the Game & Watch when you leave the game idle for a little bit. So we're just going to leave it here. I think we'll be able to see a different picture this time, hopefully, maybe sort of, kind of. Now, I do hope to be able to demonstrate the rest of them. I think there are 12 in the Game & Watch that can appear when the thing's idle. I've only been able to find 4 of them, but I think that is the case. There's 12. I might be wrong about that, but yeah, going back to the Game & Watch and things like that. So it's interesting because this isn't the first anniversary Game & Watch that Nintendo released. They also released a Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch as well. The problem with that one, though, is that it really only had the original Super Mario Bros. And that game is fine and all, but there's only so many times you can re-release that game within a short amount of time before you just get too tired of it. Because during that anniversary, they had the Super Mario All-Stars version come to Switch Online, they had the Game & Watch, they had Super Mario 35, and it's fine and all, but you know you have other Mario games, so you know, it would have been nice if you had some more on that. It's just something that always really bothered me. But that's what I like about the Zelda Game & Watch. There's a lot more to this. You have more to play around with. And it would have been fine if it was just the original Zelda game. But the fact that they also added Zelda 2 and Link's Awakening, that just makes this really worth it. And, like, I love Link's Awakening. And seeing that this was going to be on the Game & Watch just made me so happy. Especially because it's the fact that it's the very original one, which I've never seen released before. So it's really interesting to see people's reactions to seeing just the subtle little differences here and there between this and all the other versions that came out later down the road. It's just really fascinating to see. But Link's Awakening, It truly is a special game to me. This is one that I'm almost on my 100th playthrough for this game, and I'm pretty sure, like, I'll continue playing through the game way beyond that. This is going into a bit of a topic that I don't like talking about too much, but one thing that I'm fairly certain some people watching this may know is that, like, I am on the spectrum. Like, I do have autism and things like that, and this is definitely one of my bigger hyperfixations out there. Just replaying through Link's Awakening whenever, like, I'm in the mood and things like that, or whenever I'm going through a difficult time. This is a game that always, like, helps me cheer up and things like that, just getting lost in Link's Awakening over and over again, because I'm still discovering new things about this game every single time that I play through this game. So, it's funny because there's also Easter eggs in the Switch remake that I found that going back in this version, I found that it was here all along. It's just a really fun detail. Now, that was one of the portraits that we saw earlier in the series. I don't know if that's the only one that'll appear in Playing Link's Awakening, but that's just something that's definitely worth mentioning. Now we're gonna switch save files real quick, going back to the one that's playing a little bit further in the game. We're going to play over in this one, and we're going to jump ahead a little bit to some locations. There's two specifically that I'd like to talk about. One is a little bit more important than the other one, but the Easter egg thing, that's really interesting, and it made me think of something that I want to demonstrate in this video, so we'll be demonstrating that in a moment. One of the Easter eggs that I was talking about that I found on the Switch remake, and then came back to this one and saw that it was here all along. Let's try this. I never knew that he would appear again. He's like, "Oh, Marin! Link! Screw you, I don't like you, I want to see Marin." Like, that's also in the Switch remake, and I never knew for the longest time that he would appear there. It was just so fun to see that again. I'm discovering new things about this game every single time that I replay through it, and I love this game. Now, the other thing I'd like to demonstrate, let's switch over the songs real quick. So, one specific spot in this game seems to change every single time this game gets a re-release. In the Game Boy Color version, this area was where we'd find this area over here is where we'd find the picture shop, where we'd start off the side quest to take pictures across Colonent Island. In the Switch remake, this was changed to the chamber dungeons, where you can make your own dungeons and things like that. The feedback on chamber dungeons is a little bit mixed among Zelda fans. I really love it. I think it's a cool addition. I don't think it should have replaced the Photoshop entirely, but in the original version, it's just a little moblin. I'm a lonely moblin, stuck between two pipes. Well, guess I'll keep on gaming. For the rest... Oh, I'm dead now. This is like the most forgettable moblin in the entire Zelda series, because it only ever shows up in this version, and this screen changes every time this game gets a re-release. It's just... I feel bad for this moblin, honestly, because you're just minding your own business in this one little square that doesn't have any other significance at all in the entire Zelda series. But then it changes to a Photoshop, and now you're out of a job, and then that Photoshop closes down and turns into the chamber dungeons. I feel bad for this moblin. Alright, so with that taken care of, that cheat code that we demonstrated earlier in the Let's Play, it was the same, I believe it was the same cheat code that we used to start off the game C in Vermin. And you may be wondering what it does in the other Zelda games too. Well, if you were to hold down the A button for a few seconds, we could start off the original game with full hearts too. Unfortunately, this one doesn't start... We don't have anything else, like we don't really get to have all the items or anything like that. I think that would have been like a cool addition. But I think it's a little bit more helpful in Zelda 2. Because not only do we get full hearts, but we also get full magic as well. Which, let me just say, I really wish we just played through Zelda 2 like this, instead of the, good old hacking the Game & Watch in the previous episode, because it would have been a lot easier to just fight those really obnoxious enemies with the full hearts and magic and things like that. And that being said, being able to use the rerun feature was also a nice feature. And that was 8 Geardu's Let's Play of Game & Watch The Legend of Zelda. Let's set up this Let's Play where it all began. On the watch itself. I'm very genuinely pleasantly surprised about how well this Let's Play turned out. I thought it was just going to be like a silly thing that not a whole lot of people would really care about. It was just going to be like a silly project for me to work on, but I'm just really happy with how this one turned out. And I don't usually pay attention to views for my videos or anything like that, but it was really difficult not to notice how well this one was doing. So I just want to thank everybody for supporting this crazy idea of Let's Playing a literal watch. Just thank y'all so much for this. I loved how this Let's Play turned out, and I would love to do more city projects like this in the future. It's always one of my goals to figure out ways to Let's Play a game where people will look at it and be like, oh, I don't really know how that could work as Let's Play. Oh, this actually works pretty well. This would be pretty fun. That's just something that I always hope to do, and I think we achieved that with Zelda Game & Watch. So just thank y'all so much for watching this Let's Play. It was a really fun time to work on this one. And stay tuned to the channel, for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey will be continuing pretty soon. We're getting pretty close to the end game for that, so that's pretty exciting. As well as the premiere of LP43, which will be a long-awaited continuation of something we've played a long time ago. So thank y'all so much for watching this Let's Play for Game & Watch The Legend of Zelda, and until next time, Lady Gator to you.